Just before we dive back into the episode, I wanted to quickly share something that might interest you, especially if today's conversation has got you thinking about your own sustainability work. Some of the things we hear most in this industry are, I wish I could connect with other people doing this work, or I'd love to turn my sustainability expertise into something more. Well, 51 to Carbon Zero, the sponsor of this podcast, have created their own referral network. And it does exactly that. This isn't about selling you something, it's actually about helping you make money while building the sustainability community we all need. So here's what's in it for you. First, you get to join a genuine community of sustainability experts who share knowledge, refer work to each other, and solve problems together. So, no more working in isolation. Secondly, there's real money involved. There's 10% plus commission on software referrals. We're talking about projects that go from 30 grand up to 100 grand. Plus, you'll be able to boost your presence by taking part in our fireside chats. I've actually got an email in front of me from Louise Stevens, one of the ambassadors, and it says that all her clients are genuinely happy because she's got a great partner and her clients love them. But here's the bigger picture. You'll be helping accelerate the sustainability transition that we all desperately need. Every referral, every connection, every collaboration moves us closer to the world we're all working towards. If this resonates with you and you want to earn some extra income, click the link in our show notes to become a 51 to Carbon Zero ambassador. Okay, back to the show. Welcome to the Green Element Podcast Christmas Special Edition. I'm your host, Will Richardson, and today I'm going to be talking to coffee business leaders and innovators who are transforming their operations and disrupting the coffee industry to be more environmentally and socially sustainable for the future. Did you know that 2 billion cups of coffee are drunk every day? That's a hell of a lot of coffee. This drink has many health benefits and it's at the centre of our day-to-day life, work and our family and friends reunions. But what is the social and environmental impact of a cup of coffee? This episode is being sponsored by Cafe Direct, who for the last 30 years have empowered small coffee farmers to improve their livelihoods. They have been drivers and trendsetters for fairer trading across the industry. Roxy Rox Engelman, our first guest, is their Sustainability Communications Manager and talks passionately about their incredible journey from the mountains of Machu Picchu to the UK. I will also talk to Tim Wookey, co-founder of Mamus, providing specialty grade coffee to help create a better business for the farmers and a more joyful experience for the drinkers. Guillaume Legrand from Tout will take us to the sea to tell us the journey of transporting large amounts of coffee in a carbon neutral way by harnessing the power of wind as traditional sailing used to do. Last but not least, I'll be joined by Matt Kenniston from BioBean, who will make us love coffee waste and will blow our minds away with the array of efficient and sustainable products that they produce from recycling used coffee ground. Make yourself a warm cup of coffee and be ready to be immersed in the fantastic world of your favourite drink. Rox, welcome to the Green Element Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am really looking forward to, delving more into Cafe Direct and what it is that you guys do from a sustainability point of view. I mean, yes, you are a client of ours, which is amazing and awesome. But so therefore, I do know a bit more about your organisation than I normally do when I interview people. But saying that, I also know what an amazing organisation you are and what you actually have achieved over the years that you've been around. And that's the bit that we want to try and draw out and pull together. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, very excited to be here and to be involved in your series. We are really excited because I think Cafe Direct, particularly at the moment, we're actually being advertised on telly, which is our first ad campaign in 10 years,
Wow.
which is pretty incredible. Like, honestly, watching Channel 4 after 24 hours in emergency, and suddenly you see Cafe Direct advert and Machu Picchu and the mountains rise, and it's incredible. So no, it's a very exciting time for Cafe Direct, despite all the challenges. But yeah, very happy to talk a little bit more about our impact.
Because you've been a massive would it be fair to say a driving force within the coffee industry? Because you really are a trendsetter as an organisation.
Cafe Direct was formed in 1991 by 4 UK charities in response to the international coffee crisis, where the markets just suddenly plummeted, which meant that lots of coffee farmers are obviously relying on coffee as part of their income. It was costing them more money to make the coffee than they were receiving it. So essentially, the impact was felt kind of globally across the coffee countries, and Oxfam, Twin Trading, Equal Exchange, and Tradecraft came together as a response to start a kind of direct trade, like a way to actually support producers by selling coffee here and in other countries, but predominantly UK then, and then pay a fair price. So part of our ambitions, really, so our whole mission is around empowering smallholder growers to improve their livelihoods. So part of that is that we want smallholder farmers to be able to diversify their business, and that means by selling to other customers as well as us. So no one exclusively sells just to Cafe Direct. And next year we will have been trading for 30 years. So we were set up really as a social enterprise. So that means we reinvest our profits into our mission, which is empowering smallholder growers. And partly that comes from us because of our mission and our ambitions for smallholder growers. We've always worked quite differently. So another consideration is that we were one of the first UK coffee companies to certify 100% fair trade products. So in 1994, so 25 years ago now, I believe we were the first roast and ground coffee company to be certified fair trade. And it was about paying what's fair.
Brilliant. Welcome to the Green Element podcast, Tim. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am looking forward to finding out more about coffee and specialty coffee, and more about the journey that we potentially go on while drinking coffee. Could you tell us a bit more about Temamus and where you come from and what you're doing?
Hey, Will. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I think the first question that most people ask me is, why have we got such a silly name for our business? And retrospectively, it is a bit, but it actually means we love in Latin, and that's really where the genesis came from. I fell in love with the stories behind specialty coffee, and I didn't think they were being particularly well told. So we wanted to create a business that brought those stories to the fore and created, I suppose, a more joyful experience around drinking coffee in the workplace. I studied product design at university up in Salford, and my final year project was a coffee machine that I designed. So I don't really know where it came from back there, but and I look back and I still find it a bit bizarre, because I certainly wasn't drinking great coffee at university, but I designed a coffee machine as my final year project. So my interest was clearly there, early on after I left school, and then. Fast forward, I was running a marketing agency in London, and we sold it. And I started to develop this coffee idea, which came from me being sat in my kitchen just after my birthday. My wife had bought me some, I think, 250 grams of Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, probably from, I don't know, Harrods or somewhere, because she knew I enjoyed my coffee, and it purported to be the best coffee in the world. And I sat down, I ground this coffee. I just got a new grinder as well. And I sat there, I drank it, and I was transported away. It was just the most amazing taste experience. It was soft, silky mouthfeel, just really mellow. It was beautiful. And it was pre-kids, so I was really able to enjoy that experience without being interrupted. So so I was like, well, how can the coffee taste this good? How can it taste this different to other coffees that I've drunk? So I started to read about it, and I understood that there's a persistent blue mist, which is why they're called the Blue Mountains, and it sits over the mountain, and it slows the ripening process by kind of up to 25%. Every single bean is sorted by hand to make sure any defects are removed. You know, that it's the terroir and the climate is perfect for growing coffee trees. And I thought, do you know, this is what an incredible story. No one's really telling the story very well. I think we could do it better. So I started to develop a coffee business. So if you look, our business was incorporated back in 2011. But then I got offered a job, and I just had kids then. And I thought, I'm going to take the safe option and take a job. But the idea never went away. And my wife said, I'd like to start working again now. So so I said, well, look, we've got a coffee company incorporated. Why don't you start that? And she looked at it and said, look, we could do something around expensive, luxurious coffee, or we could supply good quality, specialty grade coffee into businesses. So she started with a couple of clients and ran it on Tickover for a few years. So we have been trading for maybe 4 years. And then I was looking at this business and I thought, the time's right for this. You know, people are looking for more ethical ways of doing business. They're looking for more stories around what they're buying, and I think we can connect this with sort of how new businesses are coming through.
Matt, welcome to the Green Element podcast. So you work for BioBean, an award-winning clean technology company, first in the world to recycle used coffee grounds on an industrial scale. What's the story behind BioBean, and how have you got to where you've got to?
It's a great story. Arthur Kay was the founder of BioBean. He started in 2013. Arthur was an architecture student at UCL. He was tasked, I think it was in his second year, of looking at the coffee shop and making it more sustainable. Arthur, very bright lad, realised there was all this coffee waste coming out. Thankfully, UCL, where he was studying, world-class laboratories, so literally took a bag of waste coffee grounds into the lab, gave it to the men in white coats and said, what is in this? And they then said, you know, we've got oil, we've got the fragrance compounds, carbon biomass. So, you know, all round, it's an amazing resource. So Arthur then sort of put some people together, got some minds around it and thought like, right, how do we do this? But can't just go out and buy waste coffee grounds. You've really got to kind of disrupt the market a bit. You've got to put yourself between the coffee shops and the landfill, between the coffee shops and the anaerobic digesters, and say, hey, this is the best way to recycle your coffee. But that takes time. So 2013, I think our first product to market was a coffee log, and that was in 2016.
Right.
So that was the first product. So it took a long time from the idea to actually have a first product, and then to be at the scale we are now, where we're processing thousands upon thousands of tons, and we're a workforce now, I think, about 38 people today. And if you imagine, there's an office staff, there's finance, there's marketing, there's sales, there's feedstock in, but there's also a factory where we're running 24-hour shifts at the moment because we're starting to build coffee logs for the winter season. So you've got a factory with forklift drivers, with engineers, with it's a big enterprise now.
Guillaume from Tout, thank you so much for coming along on the Green Element podcast. What is it that you do? In a nutshell, really.
We use the wind and try to harness it to transport large amounts of cargo in a CO2 neutral way. Just to develop a little more, we charter existing sailing vessels. We've done so for the past 10 years. We've moved about 1,000 tons of cargo. We can be coastal, crossing the channel or along the European coast or across the ocean. So we started trading goods, buying and selling goods for what they were noble enough and good enough to be transported by sail, and for what they had virtually a nil carbon footprint, and then started working on behalf of third parties or cargo owners. And then we've invested the last 3 years in R&D and are about to launch the build of a 67-meter, 1,000-ton carrying 3-masted sailing cargo vessel with a large or middle-sized company on board, importing cocoa beans and coffee at the freight. That includes the fair deal for the planet, and that allows the cargo owner to apply on each of the product a label called Animos that actually documents and gives the end customer the information about how the crossing happened.
Rox, would you like to just pull some information out of that for us so that we can start to understand the impact that you guys have?
Since 2004, we've contributed over £90 million worth of impact. To put that in slightly more useful context, that means just from last year, we made a profit of just over £1 million, so 1,200,000, something like that. And we invested £1 million of that back into impact. And so therefore our profit was only around 200k. So that sort of shows you genuinely how committed we are as a social enterprise to invest monies back into impact. And really that's broken down into 3 key areas. So one is through fair trade that I mentioned earlier. So the premium, that 20 cents per pound, really adds up. So over a slightly longer term, so 2004 to last year, we've invested over £10.6 million in fair trade premiums. And what that really means is it's an opportunity for co-ops to choose themselves how best to spend that money. So whether it's improving the quality because they're buying a new washing station to wash their coffee, and it's much better and everyone can benefit from that, or investing in sort of infrastructure, the sort of things that we're probably familiar with, like water projects, schools, buildings, that sort of thing. And then there's quite a lot of sort of softer skills, so more sort of training on how to kind of assimilate other people and to support them through that journey of how to share and collaborate on best agricultural practice, those sorts of activities. We've also invested money through purchasing organics. So last year, a headline for us is that we now source over half of our coffee is certified organic by a soil association.
Is the quality better because it's organic?
It's partly informed by cooperatives. So a lot of the coffee co-ops that we source from, so we currently source from 20 coffee cooperatives directly, they have been using methods that would qualify for them to be selling their products as certified organic, but not all of them are able to afford to pay the fees to be certified.
Right.
But a lot of them actually have been, in practice, are doing the sorts of things that you need to be certified organic. So, for example, that means sourcing kind of local natural inputs. So rather than relying completely on artificial fertilizers, being able to kind of invest in your land is key to your profitability. It makes commercial sense. And the shorthand to organic is that you're trying to use natural inputs. It means that you're trying to create an ecosystem where other diversity can kind of flourish. And that sort of diversity in your planting means that you've got more nutrients in the soil, which attracts different wildlife because of the variety and so on. So, it's kind of building, I see it's building up a kind of picture of good health by
got it. Yeah.
providing all the different inputs.
Interesting. And so where would a layperson be able to buy specialty coffee, Tim? Specialty coffee? Can you buy it from a supermarket, or do you have to go to particular people to buy it, like yourselves? Or
yeah, you can buy it in the supermarket, and it's usually marked up as such. It will say specialty grade coffee on there, and it will come with a lot of information, usually an altitude. It will certainly come with the cooperative or the farm information. It will have come from it will have transparency associated with that coffee. So that's really what you're looking for. The best place to go, in my view, is your local roaster. If you go down, find your local roaster. You can ask them if what they're distributing is specialty grade coffee, and if they are, then they will give you all the support and advice you need around the coffee, where it's come from, and often they'll know what sort of social initiatives are happening on the ground. We've had some coffees where we know that at a farm level, there's schools and creches for kids. So when labourers are on the farm, they know their kids get an education. These are the sorts of coffees that we all should be investing in, that kind of create a benefit at a farm level, as well as a joyful experience when you're drinking your coffee. That's why we see this as a win-win. We need to create a fairer distribution of value across, the down the supply chain, and we need to create better experiences when people are drinking coffee, because awful coffee is still rife in the UK. I suppose really where we're trying to get involved in trying to support the growers, because the truth is the majority of farmers around the world are growing coffee that's going into the commodity supply chain, and that coffee, the price that a farmer can achieve for that coffee is only linked to supply and demand on the New York Stock Exchange. So they're often paid, I don't know what today's C price is, but the C price is locked on the stock exchange. So the farmer often receives less revenue for his crop than it's cost him to grow it. And that's a growing problem now. And it's compounded by climate change. So yields for farmers are often down. They're because leaf rust is a terrible problem, which is a disease that affects coffee plants and reduces yields. Changing weather patterns, storms, all of that is reducing farmers' yields. And on the basis that the price they can achieve per pound of coffee is locked to supply and demand, it kind of they're unable to earn a sustainable income out of their farms. So what we're seeing is corners are being cut environmentally and socially. People are walking off coffee farms that they've been farming for generations. So it's a sad backstory. But what we found was a shining light within the sector, which was the specialty sector.
Matt, tell us more about so you're taking these used coffee granules in from a variety of different sources, and what do you make them into?
There's an amazing array of properties in waste coffee. When we think about waste coffee, especially coffee that comes from sort of the retail coffee machines, the big chains, the bean to cup machines. I mean, coffee's an amazing resource. It's grown, it's roasted, it's then used, but we only really, we run some hot water through it. That releases some of the lovely flavors that we end up in our hot cup of Java. But a lot of those amazing compounds, the smells, the fragrances, the reasons we drink coffee in the first place, are still prevalent in the waste, not in such great abundance. So when we get the waste coffee into our factory, there's the smell, the fragrance is still there. There's amazing sort of colorants in there. There's nuttiness, there's roastiness. So we can actually distill those from the oils and from the coffee grounds, concentrate them, and we've actually got a raw material for other ingredients. So it might be an ingredient in a drink, in a food, it could be a cake mix, it could go back into the coffee world, it could go into cosmetics. So that's the sort of biochems piece is really important to us. But coffee is still an amazing resource, even once we've had our coffee. So you've got the biochem side, you've also got lots of oil in coffee, but you've also got the solid biomass as well. And that solid biomass is an amazing fuel. So you can turn that into a pellet, which is for sort of industrial boilers. So we've got people burning our pellets that were originally burning oil, so heating oil to heat greenhouses over the winter. They've now swapped their boilers for biomass boilers, and now they're able to burn our coffee pellets, which was destined for landfill. to actually burn those coffee pellets in their biomass boilers and heat their greenhouses. Those greenhouses could be growing salad crop for the supermarkets, and actually we collect a lot of waste coffee grounds from supermarkets. So you've got this lovely kind of circular loop thing going on, a circular economy piece, just with our coffee pellets. We've also got a retail product, which is our coffee logs. So anywhere you can burn a wood log, you can pretty much burn a coffee log. And we started selling those 2 seasons ago. And we've gone from selling, I think we sold 70 tons in the first year to 700 tons. I think last year we sold about 250,000 units. That's an 8 kilo bag of, it's a solid fuel. People burn it predominantly in sort of, eco-design stoves in their homes.
And Guillaume, I mean, this is so funny, isn't it? How we're almost going back in time with what you're doing. If I was a coffee company, is it more cost effective to use you?
Shipping doesn't charge you for the emission of mostly CO2, but also sulfur gases that it emits into the atmosphere, especially in the international waters where it doesn't exist virtually legally. So we are trying to say, look, you are a coffee importer of a very nice origin. You want to promote your coffee from Colombia or from Mexico. We've got the capacity to move 50 or 100, 500 tons of coffee on your behalf. Would you think that if for each voyage we can publish a film about the cooperative you work with, about the stevedoring company that loaded the cargo, and then do a portrait of each of the sailors and give your end customer the exact GPS footprint, how the winds actually pushed the ship to the UK, and you could tell your end customer that you contributed to the savings of 500 tons of CO2, which is about 110 grams per bag. Do you think that would promote your origin and the way you source your coffee in Colombia for something that altogether costs in the 10 or 15 pence per bag? Because that's only what it ever costs, and probably some would say yes. And there's no better way to promote an origin, a soil, a way to do things, a taste, than to actually promote the way it's come to you. We're actually trying not to be sort of environmentalists or activists, but actually to promote a positive commercial offer in the logistics. So we're trying to change that and offer something that's positive.
Brilliant. So, Rox, Producers Direct, they are a subsidiary of Cafe Direct, aren't they? And could you tell us more about them, please?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, not so much subsidiary. So when Cafe Direct was founded, we had a charity called Cafe Direct Producers Foundation. So we donated money to support growers. And then in 2009, Producers Direct was formed with its own board, and it's an independent charity. But we continue to invest money into Producers Direct annually. And Producers Direct are really interesting because they are grower-led, really, as an organisation. So that means that smallholder growers sit on the board, as they do at Cafe Direct, and they really help inform kind of what's actually needed on the ground to make a difference to smallholder growers' sort of livelihoods, but also just their quality of life and development in terms of business and accessibility for young people and women to be involved and make a kind of independent economic living as well. So they do some really interesting projects, including the kind of buzzword at the moment in sustainability, if I may, seems to be around restorative landscapes. And right. I feel like I hear that a lot from other FMCGs. And again, from just the style of how Cafe Direct works, we've been working with Producers Direct on a project in the northern part of Peru, so Norandino Cooperative, and basically helped support a small community and to incentivize them to plant a whole load of trees to support the soil, but also to kind of set up a relationship between this community and a coffee co-op, Norandino, below. And that happened over 10 years ago. And it's interesting now that just from that kind of thinking, right from back then, how we seem to be slightly ahead of that sense of looking at regenerative agriculture and restorative landscape as a way to sort of support communities.
So Tim, what would you say your purpose is as an organisation?
We try. Our purpose is to improve. It's better coffee for better business. That's it in its simplest area, and we mean that at every single level. So we work with great independent roasters. We want to provide them with additional volume. We only buy coffee that's specialty grade to create a better business for the farmers. We want to work with firms where when we drop in a coffee that's got a great backstory, that's got real character, that it creates a better experience to them that they can share with either their team, their employees, or their prospects, and people can get excited and feel that this firm has got it gives consideration to the way it buys things, the way it does business. So it's a better organisation. It's effectively a sort of a marketing activity, to put it very crudely. But we think that better coffee can create better business all round. So that is our purpose.
Matt, where do you see BioBean going in the future, and how do you think you're able to influence change?
I mean, the future's bright for BioBean. We're in a really good place, and I've been here since we were definitely in startup sort of phase when I arrived, and I feel that we've gone through our stroppy teenager years, and we're hopefully coming out into something a bit more kind of mature, which is great because it's just a bit more settled. Hopefully will become, the norm, that if you're a business, and be it a coffee shop or a big retailer or a restaurant, that you just go, and it's a no-brainer. You just go, right, my cooking oil needs to go here, my food waste needs to go here. Any food that, I can actually put back into the food chain, we need to share that with people as well. So we've become one of these kind of 10 or 12 segregated resources, which just become, the normal thing to do. There's also, there's lots of new avenues we're exploring, and whether that is, bioplastics, there's the biochem side of it is really in its infancy.
Right.
We're going to see big growth in that because we've got a whole floor of a laboratory, which we at the moment use from the University of Hertfordshire. And I go in there, and there's 4 or 5 people working every single day. There's bits of kit that I don't even know what they do. But I sit in on meetings, and people tell me what is in this and what we can use it for and how we can segregate it, all done in a very environmentally friendly way, because prior to us doing it, there was lots of techniques of extracting oil, extracting compound, but lots of them were very heavy in using other chemicals. So we're trying to pioneer processes that are very gentle, but I think that's where the real growth is. But, our coffee pellets, we've only really, we're selling to 3 or 4 people at the moment, and there's lots of people out there that could utilise our pellets. I say, why chop down a virgin tree when you can actually make a pellet from waste? And if you can stop that all going to landfill, all the better. So yeah, the future's bright, and we're thinking at the moment, well, we're thinking more than thinking. We're looking. We've got some product landing in Europe in September. We want to test the market out there. A lot of coffee drunk in Europe, and there's a lot of coffee factories in Europe. So sort of Northern Europe, Holland, Germany. We've got our sights on potentially doing a mainland European BioBean. So that'll be exciting. So yeah, there's watch this space. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Graham, going back to what you're saying, I think you're future-proofing the way that we can buy and trade with each other around the world as well, because we do have to take into consideration the environmental cost. And I think people don't actually think about that. They'll look at the origin, and they will look at who the company is and the way their company is. So are they a B Corp, for example? But they may not necessarily think about the whole supply chain.
And I think, business and the end consumers have proven in the past that they can contribute to changing things. Look at what the organic labels have allowed. What is the association in the UK, the Soil Association, and what he certifies for the products that come from abroad. That's actually allowed an improvement in the way agricultural practices were performed around the world. And it's just that there's no carbon label at the moment. So we've been, for instance, looking at what the organic or the fair trade movements were doing, but we realized we needed to do something entirely different. And because you are eventually the end payer for the maritime shipping, but you don't know anything about how your T-shirt has come from China. You can't even find out, even if you were to investigate what ship brought your coffee from Mexico, say, to the UK. So even if you wanted to do something better for the planet, you couldn't. With what we do, you got to produce that. Thanks to which you can find the information about the crossing, and anyone understands that a 20 knot westerly prevailing wind allows you to come, in a favorable manner back to Europe. And this is how we want to explain this, because this is part of our sort of maritime identity, dignity, and we're all part of it. We all should know what happens out there on the sea for the products from overseas.
So, Rox, what is your regenerative strategy for at Cafe Direct?
It's something we're really excited about exploring. I'd say that's the stage we're in at the moment. So part of our ambitions is to publish our regenerative agriculture strategy by the end of next year. And so part of that journey has already started, and we had this incredible conversation. The Cafe Direct team also got the opportunity to speak with Phil Graves, who's a VP of Patagonia. And Patagonia have been piloting this incredible certification called ROC, which sounds like me, but it's not. It stands for Regenerative Regenerative Organic Certification. And they sort of sit on the board and are fed into this because they recognise that the products that Patagonia source, but also like-minded businesses as well, what they want to obviously do something in a way that is responsible for the entire environment, and they take organic as kind of a baseline, but then also look at other practices that support that. So anyway, in those conversations, we had this fascinating conversation about this, and we realised that our coffee buyer, Matt McDonald, has got a close relationship with the coffee co-ops that we buy our coffee from. Because as I explained earlier, it's direct trade, so we've got those relationships. And actually 90% of our co-ops already, just because of the way that they're smallholder growers, they own their land, and it's small scale farming. Actually, they're using regenerative agriculture methods anyway. So it's interesting to see sort of where the benefits lie in having certification or not. But it's so fascinating because all the conversations feel like they're going in the right direction, particularly in the run up to COP next year.
Yeah, I bet. And I think it's interesting that, because you are a coffee company and Patagonia are a clothing company, but both your products are grown in the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this kind of sense of recognizing the intersections between, people's livelihoods, and protecting the, environment, the integrity of the soil where these products are grown. And, and in some instances, not in ours, or Patagonia's, but animal welfare obviously comes into that too. But we source from very different countries. I think Patagonia source quite a lot of their cotton from India, and Cafe Direct works predominantly with coffee and tea and cocoa farmers in Latin America and East Africa. But yeah, there are a lot of parallels, a lot of synergies, and it's very exciting because, like us, Patagonia have got good relationships directly with growers, and it feels like they're coming from it with from a farming perspective first, and then looking at where the commercial sort of buy-in is a little bit later.
I'd really like to learn more about what I know we've talked about microfinance in the past and what Cafe Direct are doing, but could you give us a bit about those training programs and what it is that you guys are doing?
Yeah, sure. So we work with Producers Direct, and Producers Direct have got a kind of 4-tiered approach, where microfinance is one of those tiers, because accessing finance at a reasonable cost, as in, so the interest isn't prohibitive, enables participation by those that are sort of most ostracized, which usually is women and young people, your kind of next gen farmers. So having access to your own money obviously enables you to have control over what you do with it. So it has huge ramifications, even though it seems quite a sort of simple process. It enables so much more to happen. So, for example, currently there's about in every coffee co-op that we work with, it tends to be around 1 in 5 members are women. And so we've got an ambition to increase that to 50% within the next 5 years. But Cafe Direct's kind of continued investment in Producers Direct, we've also got some joint projects that we're hoping will involve different customers in the UK as well. There seems to be a lot more interest in and recognition, I think, for the role that gender equality does play.
This time next year, we'll be in the midst of COP26. You're hoping to participate within it, I believe.
We are, and I think our main reason for wanting to participate is we really want to be collaborative and support our industry. So whether that's through our networks like B Corp or social enterprise or fair trade, we feel very strongly that supporting clearer climate goals translates to also supporting smallholder growers. So it just aligns very much with our ambitions. And also, Will, as you know, we've been working with Green Element to map our carbon emissions within our supply chain, and we're very close now, as you know, to kind of getting our kind of results and understanding where our impacts lie. And as we've discussed before, like, our ambitions is to sign up next to the science-based targets, because we think that's a credible way to map and monitor, our carbon emissions in line with, other businesses and really what the United Nations, global climate agreement is saying is what's necessary. And so I think it's very exciting.
And I think that the science-based targets for you guys is actually incredibly important to recognize that it's actually very, very, very hard for you to sign up to the science-based targets. And the fact that you are wanting to sends such a clear message out about you as an organization. And if I could just explain why, and it's because you're not a service-based industry. You have to attribute 75% of your emissions. You have to calculate 75% of your emissions in order to be able to calculate your science-based targets. And your emissions are going to be much more complicated than that of a service industry, and also will have much bigger ramifications for you to be able to have to reduce them in line with the 1.5 degree increase and stay in line. And I think that is really, really important to take a note of, because I think it's not that I'm downplaying service companies and the science-based targets, but I think that recognizing how hard it is for organizations like you to have them verified is well worth reminding our listeners.
Thanks, Bill. I mean, I think we feel like it's all possible. It's about redirecting the focus. And we feel confident that we're part of we're part of a community and part of the networks I mentioned, and Producers Direct. And so I think it just feels the right thing to do. And Cafe Direct's always been good at trying to do the right things. So,
Brilliant.
But thank you ever so much, Dave. It's been so exciting to be part of the podcast, and I think Cafe Direct team generally are looking forward to all things Christmassy. So
brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being on this special podcast. It was really great having you.
Thanks, Will. All right, well, take care.
We hope you enjoy this Christmas special podcast in which we have tasted the different flavours and smell the aromas that sustainability is bringing to the coffee industry. Special thanks to our sponsor, Cafe Direct, and Roxy Rox Engelman, and our guests, William Legrand, Tim Wookey, and Matt Keniston. And a massive thanks to you all, our listeners, to stick with us in the journey of sustainability. We're not saying goodbye to this season, not just yet. And we still have a couple of episodes to be released that you shouldn't miss out. Next year, we'll be back with more amazing stories of business leaders who are disrupting their industries to work towards a sustainable future for us all. We hope you have a lovely and happy Christmas. Please take care. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey. So you really enjoy sustainability and want to be a part of the solution? Come and join our vibrant community now. Book a call and we can talk more.